Hello everyone. Very good afternoon all of you. What was happening in last lecture? Just revise these points. Still the people are all joining. Yes, what was happening in last lecture?
Database architecture and its types.
Yes, database architectures and its types. May I know your good name? Roll number 41.
It's
Hello.
14, ma'am.
It's 14. Okay. Vaishnavi. Okay. Database architecture. Okay, and its types. Now, tell me which are the types of architectures? Have you remember?
Two tier and three tier.
Yes, two tire and three tires. And what basis uh, we are separating that in two tire, three tire?
Client and server side.
Yes, client as well as the server type. This is the example of the two tire architecture, right? Depends on the tire. Okay, and tire is nothing but what? This is the separation, logical separations or functionality separation. Okay, so who will explain the two tire architecture now in short? Yes, two tire architectures. Who will explain? Yes, client server architecture is the two tire architecture, right? That means there exists a collection of clients as well as the one or two servers. Yes, who will explains? Roll number 25. Are you there? Manju Londhe.
Yes,
Can you explain two tire architecture? Have you remember the concept?
no, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Okay, are you present yesterday's session?
Yes, ma'am. I can tell you the next point. That is three.
Okay, you can explain three tire. No issue.
I can tell you in short. Is
Yeah,
it okay
yeah,
for you,
that's
ma'am?
fine. No issue. Just let me check the whether the concept is clear or not. No issue.
In that three-tier architecture
Mhm.
contains between silent and servers. In this architecture, silence can't directly communicate with the server. Uh,
Client,
uh,
not clients can't communicate with the.
sorry, client.
Huh, yes.
And three-tier architectures, one example is there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in that tier architecture is used in case of large web application.
Yes, that's also correct.
Mm.
Thank you. Thanks for the response. Uh, Roll number 61, Santosh Khilare. Are you there? Roll number 61. Unmute yourself. You just tell me the yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You know the concept. You don't know the concept. See, there is a no any punishment. Okay. Santosh Khilare. If you are not there, I will mark it as absent then. Roll number 1, Aboli, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
So can you please tell me about two-tier architecture? What's the concept? In short.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
In two-tier architecture, presentation layer or interface runs on client, and
Okay.
the data layer or data structure gets stored on a server.
Okay. Database servers stored on the server side and application of database stored on client side. That's correct. Good. Mute yourself. Now we saw the next point is that database users, basically we are categorize the database user into two types, that is the database users as well as the administrators. Again, database users also categorize into the four parts, four types. Which are those? Who will explain or who will list out that?
Navy users, application programmers, sophisticated users,
Mhm.
and specialized users.
Okay, good. Good, Vaishnavi. Roll number 28. Are you there? Roll number 28. What's her name? Those who are not giving response or not unmuting, I will mark as a absent. Just tell me yes or no. No issue about that. Okay? Giving answer is the next part, but you are available at that time. That's most important. Roll number 61 as well as roll number 28. I will mark as a absent. 61. Roll number 43.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, can you explain Navy users?
I was absent, ma'am, last lecture.
Okay, you are absent. Just cover what was happening in yesterday's sessions. Okay, I will share the YouTube link.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, who will tell me about the Navy user? Navy user. No one knows. These are the unsophisticated users or end user. Okay, customer, clients, who don't have detail or no knowledge of the DBMS. All these comes under the Navy user. Okay, I will share my screen. Whether the screen is visible to everyone?
No, ma'am.
Yes. Navy users, these are the unsophisticated users. Is it visible to everyone? The screen is visible. Hope so it's visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Next point was the application programmer. These are the back-end programmers. Okay. They have they are the computer professionals and who have the DML knowledge also. They can communicate to the database using the DML language. Okay. Then sophisticated users. Sophisticated user can be engineer, scientist, business analyst. They can develop their own database. Okay. And the specialized. These are the expert system as well as the knowledge based system. Okay. Now DBA. This is the one of the important point, that is the database administrator. Okay. Database administrator, DBA, is a person or team who defines the schema and also control the 3 levels of database. See, I will repeat. DBA is a person or team, 2 or 3 candidates on in one organization are. Okay, the DBA has a DBA account in the DBMS, which called a system or super user account. So some important responsibility of DBAs are for installing, upgrading DBMS server. C. See, the life cycle of DB or database start from first designing, then implementation, as well as the administration. First, what we have to do? Designing the database, then implementation of that database, as well as the administration. Any new database has to go from these 3 process. Okay. And once all designing is complete, it needs to be installed. And once this step is complete, you just start using the database. After designing and installations, users start using that database, right? And see, as database grows, concentrate now, as the database grow, as the data grows in the database, how database our data will base will grows. As you are entering new daily new data, it grows. When the database becomes huge, when its size become increase, its performance comes down. Yeah. Of course, if the load get increased, the performance, it impacts on performance. And also accessing the database become a challenging task. Am I right? आप भी आपके लैपटॉप और मोबाइल पे कुछ डेटा ज्यादा इंस्टॉल होता है तो व्हाट विल हैपेंस, पीसी स्लो हो जाता है ना, उसका परफॉर्मेंस वो स्लो हो जाता है. लाइक दैट डेटाबेस आल्सो गेट स्लो. When the database becomes huge, its performance comes down, and also accessing the database becomes the challenging one, right? And sometimes there will be an unused memory in database. Okay, so all this management and to maintain the performance of our database is responsibility of the database administrator. Okay, that is the administrations, maintenance. This is the main responsibility of DBA. Okay, so following are the some important responsibilities of DBAs, that is the installing, the upgrading the DBMS servers. Then designing the and implementation. What is happening in designing and implementations of database? It is the it should be able to decide the proper memory management. Okay. It may be a file organizations, error handling, log maintenance. All these comes under the design and implementations. Are you getting, students? We are
Yes, ma'am.
You are looking the point of the uh, important responsibilities of the DBA. First is the installing and upgrading the DBMS servers on the server side. If new version of that database comes into the market, we have to update that one, installing the database server onto the system. Then designing and implementations of the database. In that, file organization, memory management, error handling, log maintenance, all these responsibility have to handle the DBA. Then performance tuning. Same as we discussed, as a data grows in database, there will be a variation in the performance from time to time. Okay. So DBA's responsibility of the DBA to tune the database performance is DBA's responsibility. Okay. To manage the data, to increase, to maintain the database performance. Then backup and recovery. Time to take takes a proper backup and recovery, and programs need to develop by the DBAs and has to be maintained by him or her.
Lakshmi is mother-in-law of
Sorry. Hello. Security. Next point is the security. DBA, that is the database administrator, is responsible for creating various database users and applying the rules to them, as well as giving them different levels of access right. Okay. All the authority has the DBA only. The next point is the documentation. DBA should be responsible for properly documenting all his activities so that if anyone of the team, DBA team, quits any job or new one will admitted comes in the organization as to work as a DBA, he should able to understand the DB without any efforts. That's why documentation is the most important part. Okay. And to maintain that document is the DBA's responsibility. Are you getting, students?
Wife, mother. Okay, Lakshmi is mother-in-law of Surabhi. Who is first mother-in-law? Mother-in-law means Surabhi. Surabhi husband's. Surabhi husband's mother should be Lakshmi. Surabhi husband
Roll
means
number
Surabhi
6. Mute yourself.
husband mother should be Lakshmi.
Nikita Bhosle.
Lakshmi's
Mute yourself.
Basically it's husband's mother is mother-in-law. That means Lakshmi should be Surabhi's husband's mother. Okay, this is fine. Now
Okay. Everyone getting the point? DBA. At least text me the message, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, repeat, ma'am. Okay. Next is a history of database system. Here, history of database systems. The concept of DBMS are invented from the 1950s and early 1960s. At that time, magnetic tape were developed for a data storage. Data processing tasks such as payroll were automated with the data storage on tapes. And processing of data consisted of reading data from one or more tapes and writing data to a new tape. And data could be input from punch card desk as well as the output to the printer. So in 1950s and early 1960s, magnetic tape was used for storing the data. Okay, late 1960 and 1970s, widespread use of hard disks. In the late 1960s change the scenario for the data processing greatly, since hard disks allow direct access to a data. The position of data on disk was immaterial, since any location on disk could be accessed in just tens of milliseconds. Okay, it's a part of theory. Okay, a landmark paper of by Codd in 1970 defined the relational model and non-procedural way of querying data in the relational model, and relational database were born. See, in 1970, Codd invented the relational data model. Okay, and querying the data in the relational model. Now, in 1980, the relational model was still in use by many people in the market. Later, during the same decade, that is in 80s only, IBM developed the SQL as a part of R project. In 1980, IBM developed the SQL. It was declared as a standard language for the queries by ISO and ANSI. After that, the transaction management system for processing transaction was also developed by the James Gray. And in 1980s also saw much research on parallel as well as the distributed database, as well as the initial work on object oriented database. Okay, mean SQL was invented or marked as a ISI R project in 1980s, as well as the n number of researches are going on at the time of in 1980 only. That is the research on the parallel as well as the distributed database. Now in early 1990s, the SQL language was designed primarily for decision support applications, which are query intensive, yet the mainstream of the database in the 1980 was transaction processing application, which are update intensive. Okay. Many database vendors introduced the parallel database products in this period only. Parallel database products. Database vendors also began to add project relational support to their database. And in 1990s, the major event of the 1990s was the explosive growth of the World Wide Web. This is the turning point. And databases were deployed much more extensively than ever before. Now, database systems now had to support very high transaction processing rates. Database systems also had to support web interfaces to data. And in 2000s and later, the first half of the 2000s saw the emerging of XML and the associated query language, that is the XQuery, as a new database technology. Okay. In this time period, we have also witnessed the growth of automatic computing as well as auto admin techniques for minimizing systems administration's efforts. Okay. The period also saw a significant growth in use of open source database system, particularly PostgreSQL and MySQL. Okay, this is all about the brief history of database system. Okay. Just remember a few important points in this slide. When R programming, SQL was invented. Okay. As well as the turning point of the DB database. Okay. Now, overview of design process. Come to the next point. Overview of design process. See, the database design, this is one of the most important part of database life cycle. Okay. Designing, implementation, as well as the maintenance or administrations. These are the three uh, points comes under the life cycle of database. Okay. So first one is the database design. It is a collection of processes that facilitate the designing, development, as well as the implementation and maintenance of the enterprise data management system. See, it is a collection of processes to design our database. As we already saw the concept of the what do we mean by database? Any database is the collection of data which is related with each other, right? So in that, a database is collection of tables, right? So they are interrelated with each other. We already saw the even with examples too. Okay. The main objective of the database design in DBMS are to produce logical and physical design models of the proposed database system. Okay. In database design, what we are going to see, the main objective. That is, the DBMS are the produce logical as well as the physical design models. So first one is the logical model. Our meeting will end within a 1 minute. Just rejoin one more time. Okay, everyone. The logical model is it concentrates on the data requirements and the data to be stored independent of physical considerations. See, we want to design a database, but before that we should know that which are the requirements of the customers, okay, or which are the need of the organization, for which purpose we are designing that one. So we should concentrate on the data requirements, okay. Blindly we can't go to the design phase. First we have to collect the requirements, right? If you want to make interior for your